Apologies for absence.
Yeah.
Both sickness, really.
Yeah.
Those in favour, just stick your mitts up. Thank you.
Sure.
Declarations of interest. To receive and consider any declarations of interest from members and officers under Section 50 of the Local Government Act 2000, Standing Order 35. This requirement applies only in respect of matters which are to be considered by the Council at this meeting. To declare any disclosable pecuniary interests.
No.
No. To declare any other interests.
No.
Okay, no. Representations from interested parties. A period of no longer than 10 minutes will be allocated to members of the public to address the meeting about items on this agenda at the Chairman's discretion. And there doesn't seem to be anybody present. Consideration of requests from interested parties, that has to be the same. Minutes of previous meetings. If you could look at your previous set of minutes. You want me to sign
Yes, I've got set here, please.
anything that
No.
anyone is wanting to discuss with the previous minutes? Is it your will that I sign the minutes then? You just use that bunch of papers away.
Would you like them?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Have we got anybody who, did anybody propose them?
I'll propose it.
Second, everybody.
Well, I'll second it, Roy, if you proposed it. I'll
Okay,
second it.
those in favour? Thank you. What's the date? What's the date today? 28th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, financial matters. I think it probably is over to you at this point, Roy.
Okay,
Mine reckons it's the costing of the rooms, is that right?
that's right, yes. 164801 to receive a report on the costings of each individual room in Fletton House, the Courthouse and the Hub. Well, it's a hub trading account as regards the hub. First of all, taking them in order then with the Fletton House rooms first of all. I produced a report which went first of all to Estates. I think everyone here was on Estates that night and got a copy of it, but it's in your pack as well. The two sheets for this one need to be placed side by side because you've got the expenditure heads down the left hand side and then you've got all your costing figures across the sheet. It's a very wide spreadsheet. And it gives us a breakdown of what we've had come in. This was between April and January, April 2016 to January 2017, so it's the first 10 months of the year, and it shows the income from each room, and it also shows you the total expenditure pro rata for each room. Now we've broken the rooms down. Most of the costings are done on a pro rata on floor area.
I suppose you've got a spare one I can see, have you?
Sorry?
I've got one here actually. Thank you.
With some exceptions, but the majority of them, it's based on a pro rata on their floor area, looking at all usable rooms within the building, leaving out things like corridors, toilets, and the like, but looking at all the useful, usable rooms. one of the main exceptions is waste, where we put half the waste to the hub, and also electricity. We put half the electricity cost to the hub. Most of the rooms have only got lights and computers in, whereas the hub is using electric for cooking, so it makes sense for a higher proportion of electric to be used down there, or costed to there. So then we've applied these percentages to the total costs for the various headings, and that gives you a cost then for each room. And when they're totalled up, you can see, for example, Glatthorne, we have a total income of £4,778.83, and their share of the expenditure comes out at £8,904.56. So that room was making a £4,000 loss in that first 10 months. Similarly, Barnwell lost just under £1,000, and Cotterstock just under £200. But the Oundle Suite has made quite a profit, because we had £10,000 coming in, a big slice of that thanks, I think, to British Gas, who paid commercial rates for it for several days, boosted the figures for that, and that brought us up to 10,000 of income with only 5,000 of expenditure, so there was a 5,000 profit on that one. The Bennyfield room, we had a bit of income in the first few months, and then it was given to the hub as a storeroom. So although there's a bit of income, we haven't shown any apportionment of cost. The Bennyfield apportionment on floor area goes with the hub, because it's now part of theirs. So although we got £112 coming in, I didn't put that as income for the hub. I just showed that as room hire income, which it was at that time. The studio, we've had 6,800 come in. The cost of it is 8,904, and so it's lost about 2,000 in those 10 months. The Ashton kitchen, I haven't shown any costs there because it's part and parcel of the preschool property. And what we'd agreed with them was to share 50%, we'd have 50% of the income and they'd have 50% of it. So 50% of the income from that room is shown as preschool income under preschool there. And with the rent they've paid and that bit of income coming in, they've made us a profit of £1,931. Volunteer action, you can see we get 4,800 from them. They cost us 2,360 odd as their share of the expenses, so we've got 2,000, nearly 2.5 grand there of surplus profit from the volunteer action rooms as well. We've got a room which appears in the accounts as Fletton House kitchen, and that appears to be the Ashton room kitchen. So I think that is a case of some bookings have gone down as Ashton and some have gone down as Fletton House kitchen. Because I don't think we haven't let, as far as I know, the kitchen in the hub.
I don't know without looking at the figures.
They seem to be to do with bookings in the Ashton room from the detail on them. And you can see then in the overall figures, the grand totals, we've got £35,850 of expenditure across all the rooms and 37,167 received for all of them. So overall we're 1,316 ahead in the black on room hire in Fletton overall. And once we get our corporate booking working, that should keep us in a very healthy position.
I would that is mainly because of the British Gas situation, isn't it?
It turned it round dramatically
Yeah.
because we were showing a loss in the rooms until that bit of commercial hire, yes.
Okay.
That brought in a lot of money.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That one
I can see
booking
that,
brought in a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
money.
So,
Yeah.
do you think over the next 2 months, so make it the 12-month period, will probably break even?
I think when we looked at February's figures, we'd slip back again,
Yeah.
and we're probably slipping back in March.
Okay.
We've got to do some work to get the room hire up. We've
Right.
certainly got to work at that.
Okay. So we're likely to have a slight loss at the end of the 12 months.
I think so, yeah.
Right.
Is that your feeling as well, Paul?
Again, I looked at the figures from the last week.
You're looking at this cold because you've not had the figures. Yeah.
I've had an inquiry from NAUC,
Yeah.
not Northants NAUC,
National one.
yeah, to say that they're interested in running some courses from here.
Good.
And they've inquired about this room
Yeah.
for a couple of bookings, but that will be next financial year.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they, if they get on well here, so they will have food and things, a whole day booking. So,
Yeah. That would be excellent.
it'd be nice if we can get a few of them.
Yeah.
Can
That's-
I ask a question?
Yeah. Yeah.
How much would you think we've spent on doing stuff on the building because of snagging, if you like? Because we have, we had the bill, for instance, for the asbestos removal. I couldn't think of the word. Thank you. Those kind of things. I mean, that
That's
was a
not-
not inconsiderable
Yeah.
sum.
That's not gone into this because that went into a separate code which isn't included.
What
But
about other snagging?
I mean, repairs and maintenance cost in total on Fletton House £7,218. Have I read the right line?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4 up from the bottom. No. 1, 2, 3, 4 up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It says
right.
7,218. Yes, sorry, it is right. Yeah.
So that's included in the flood.
That's been a portion for any repair and maintenance type work.
I mean, that situation should improve.
Yes, yeah. We've got one or two things where, as I said later on the agenda, we need to look at some of our cost heads, and we come to that later, because there's things like, I think some of the Fletton House repair and maintenance covers hub-specific repair and maintenance, which I think would be better as a separate code.
That's something we're going to do with.
Yeah. That's why
Yeah.
it's good that Paul's here,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, it
we're
is,
looking
yeah.
in April to change them and get them more streamlined. So
Yeah.
whatever we talk about today, we can look at, can't we?
Yeah.
We'll be able to do everything you say.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's things like we had quite a few dishwasher repairs and things.
Yeah.
And they obviously,
That's still ongoing.
yeah, they don't want to be pro rata across the whole
No.
building.
That's
They want to be
purely-
hub specific. So there are things like that where adjustments will need making. Anything else on the
No,
house?
I just wanted to sort of, because of the BT, and you said it, if you remember, I think at the main meeting, that we were going to see a small loss at the end of the year, didn't you? So
Yes,
I just wanted
yeah.
to-
What does it compare to last year? Was this? Did we do anything like this?
I didn't do anything like this
Right,
last
okay.
year, so it's the first time it's ever been done. But I don't think the bookings were particularly.
We only started in September.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
So you only had
Right.
half a year
Yeah.
anyway
Yeah.
to compare it
It's
with.
quite good. It's good to see it like this. I think it's good cost.
Yeah.
I think it's looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah. This next report, the 2 pages follow on downwards instead of across. That's the way the spreadsheet printed out on this for the courthouse. I looked first of all at the costs. Some of them seem to be apportionable across all the rooms, and I looked at all the floor areas, and most of it is pro rata on floor area again. And I looked at those which were only internal, because obviously they bear certain costs that the others don't have. the gas central heating and the like only applies inside the main building, not to the workshops and other offices outside of it, which have got electric heating. There perhaps should be something done with apportionment of electric, because of the fact they've got electric heating. They perhaps use more electricity than the rooms inside the building. So these are things we perhaps need to refine. But that's how the costs broke down when I had a look at those. That there were £12,700 worth across all rooms and £11,700 worth just across the rooms that are inside the main building itself. Then I looked at each room, as I say, pro rata on floor area, and I did the percentages and proportioned the costs, and you can see there the figures. You can see that the museum costs us a total of £6,000. We only ever charge them a rent of £14.35, so we make a huge loss on the museum, but it's an amenity to the town. Yes, Peter?
Sorry, Roy. Two things.
Yeah.
The window cleaning seems a bit high, almost £1,500.
Yeah, I think there's also in there carpet cleaning as well. I think
Oh, is
goes
there?
in- I think so.
Oh, right, fair
Goes
enough.
in with that as well. Goes under that same code.
What's the cleaning then?
The other cleaning,
Yeah.
That's cleaning.
The cleaner.
that's for
Is that
cleaning.
part-time or full-time? Or?
Well, I think what happened there was you've got a caretaker down for when we had our own.
Yeah, yeah.
That would have been Karen Hosted for the first couple of months. Then the cleaners were replaced by a contract, the Clean for Shore contract, and the cleaning figure there is actually the cost of the cleaner.
Oh, right, so the caretaker's not there anymore then?
Well,
Is
the
part
caretaker is contracted out now, is
Right,
it's
so part
contract.
of the cleaning, so that
Yeah.
going forward, you won't see a caretaker bill, we'll just see a cleaning bill.
Well, it should be, cleaning and caretaking
Right,
in
okay.
together, yeah. It's more cleaning down there rather than a caretaker, but it's predominantly caretaking, I think, at Queen Victoria Hall and here.
Yeah,
It's sort of a shared function,
fine.
but it's down as cleaning. The code is cleaning for,
It's just, I suppose you've seen that, have you?
what's that?
Oh, we're talking courthouse, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So they're there separately at the moment.
yes.
So what will you call it when they're not separate?
Well, the caretaker is the bit, was the bit for Karen
So
Hosted's
it's,
wages.
yes, that's,
Yeah.
She
so
no
that
longer
will
why
go.
they-
Yeah, she
that
no
will go.
longer does
Yeah,
it.
It's
you won't
that
have
one
that
that will
another
go.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't have that another
Yeah.
year. Yeah. And cleaning materials, £2.50 was some toilet rolls that were bought for. We seem to spend a lot of money on toilet rolls, but that's not unusual. Lots of places do.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah. I can
You
tell
probably
that
do,
for-
yeah.
I can tell you that for my company.
I know.
I can't believe how
No.
many toilet rolls my staff get through.
I used to buy 2 dozen packs from Booker's for my salons, and before I'd hardly left the building, they were saying we need more toilet rolls.
I'm thinking about just giving you one sheet per visit from now on.
Have a
What
little
a ration.
have a little boy standing there dishing it out like they do in Egypt.
But that's what the £2.50 is. That was for some toilet rolls.
Pretty cheap toilet roll.
And so, yeah, so then I've applied those costs across all the rooms, and the former chamber upstairs is now rented out to Charles Wally Associates, and you can see there what that costs us and what we get in rent from him. So the room costs us 2,300, we get in 7.5 grand. So we're making a nice tidy surplus on that, which more than offsets the cost of the museum on its own. The clerk's office, obviously we've got a total expenditure there of £614, and as yet nobody's moved in, but they will do shortly. So we're £614 down on that room, but that situation is about to change when the new tenant moves in. The ex-staff office, that's the office that Hanika and Paul used to occupy when it was the office. Same applies there. It costs us £433 for those 10 months and no income in there at the moment. It's just used for storage. The chat office, they pay us £1,000 and we're £310 in profit there. The old volunteer action officers, they again are empty at the moment, although a tenant is looking to move into one of them, and there's just over £1,000 cost to us there. Then the 2 meeting rooms and the kitchen downstairs, I've put those together as one item because that's as somebody wanted to rent them as a suite with the kitchen. So that's cost us £16.86 this year in the first 10 months, and somebody is looking to move in there. In fact, they might already be in there now, are they?
Is that the lady?
Not the lady with the dog.
No.
This is the other one. She's going in the clerk's office, I think.
I think probably by the end of this month, so very
Right,
soon. Very
yeah.
soon.
But are they estate agents or chartered surveyors or something like that?
Yeah.
And they're going in those 2 offices plus the kitchen, which is why we're building another kitchen, which we approved at
yeah.
Estates recently. The old registrar's office is another one that's to be let shortly. I think that's Justin Jeffrey, I think, wants that one, if I remember correctly, if I've got them the right way round. That's cost us £572 for 10 months. So, Peter.
Going on to Justin Jeffrey, has he now come round to our way of thinking on the rent and things?
We agreed figures at about 2 or 3 estates meetings ago with him. We agreed terms. He had shifted enormously. The fellow from Berries was going back to him because there were still a couple of points we stuck on. As far as I know, he's now accepted them.
Oh, that's fine. Okay.
Because he was looking for some free
Yeah, no, yeah.
time, 6 months free or something, and we stuck to our guns on that one and said nobody else was having it free. The one area that we we won't get any income from really is the reception area, because that's a reception to quite a few rooms in there, and it's the entrance, the front entrance as it were, to the museum, so that's always going to lose us money, and it's losing about £95 a month by the looks of it on the basis of that. And then there's the business units. We've got some of the business units and workshops.
By the way, the reception now, obviously, we know we're going to lose money on that.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that the people in the courthouse want to have the reception manned.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, no.
They don't.
No, they don't want it manned. No.
Well, they want it sort of looking nice and neat and tidy.
Yeah.
Can't we charge them a small service charge to keep it tidy and updated?
Well, the main people using it are the museum, who put some of their
right,
displays
okay.
in there to keep
Right,
it
so
looking.
it's not
attractive.
part of the offices then.
So, but it's a conscious decision not to try and charge them too much, because the town wants its museum as an amenity.
Oh no, as I say, I didn't realise.
So we didn't want to charge them any more, really.
Okay.
That's where we are with that, really.
Fair enough.
I mean, that can be discussed again at estates, and we can think about how we
Yeah.
recover cost of reception. Now that we've, for the first time, I think, ever,
No,
we've costed what each room costs. We now have an idea that, it's
Costs us £95 a month.
£95 a month. Is quite a bit of money. And you can't do anything with it because all it is an access to various rooms. So there are the costs. That gives you overall an overall loss of 2,650 near enough in the courthouse. But bearing in mind we've got rooms about to be let very, very soon, that situation will change, and I think we've done well to go from a situation where, 18 months ago, the thought was that we sell Courthouse because it was a liability to us, to a situation where we've done a little bit of maintenance in there, tidied it up, and we look like very shortly we'll be making money from it. And we've got an asset there, we've got a property which will only appreciate in value with time if we maintain it properly. So I think we've done well there. I think the council can pat itself on the back. So that's the rooms. Any more questions on the rooms side of things? No. We come now to hub trading. I'm conscious of the fact this is taking a few minutes. But again here, what we've done here, we've looked at the income net of all these figures are net of VAT. We've looked at the income coming in from the hub by cash and by card, and in the 10 months it's just over 60 grand, which was ahead of budget because I think we'd budgeted for that for the 12 months, so we're running ahead of budget. We had a couple of tiny, and you can see they are very tiny, catering functions, which brought in a few pounds. And we need obviously to do a lot more of that. This is where the corporate room bit will bring in some money for lunches and tea and coffee morning and afternoon to go with room hires. Could be quite a lucrative thing, and that could really be what makes the hub for us. If you look at the sort of direct cost of sales then, the wet, we haven't got any stock figures. I'd like to put some stock taking figures down there to adjust our purchases by what we're holding in stock at each end of the period under consideration. But you can see we've got wet and dry purchases there, and assuming that what's come in, what we've purchased has been consumed, there's £18,000 worth of that, which gives us a gross trading surplus there. That's just taking off the cost of the items from the income, gives us a gross trading surplus there of £42,000, nearly £43,000. It's after that when we start to look at the staffing costs. Now for the first April, May, June, July, up until I think 2nd of August, we had a hospitality officer, so his salary is obviously in there. What I haven't costed is on costs, because they're not shown separate for the hub staff. We've just got figures for what we've paid in the way of employers' national insurance and stuff like that. So we haven't shown on costs onto these wages costs. So that's another cost that really should go on here in the future. But that side, we also had a commercial manager, and she was there for April and May, and then she took over as admin officer, and we didn't have a commercial manager thereafter. So there's 2 months of her salary in there as well, again without the on costs. And then we've got the hub staff, which are mainly 0 hours, but including team leaders, of 39,000, giving us a total of 48,725. At that point, we go negative, a net trading loss of 5,800 at that point. Yes,
Sorry,
Peter.
wait. Is the hospitality officer now not there?
Sorry?
So the hospitality officer is no longer with us.
That's right.
So I'm assuming that amount won't be in next year's.
No,
Right.
no.
So So that might actually help make it slightly better.
It will,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had 2 hospitality officers. One was called commercial manager. We had 2 of them, and when the commercial manager half of it, they both did a slightly different role, so they were given different titles. It was agreed by the town council that we could have 2 or 3 team leaders. And we actually took on 1 full-time and 1 part-time, and that was agreed that we'd have them instead of replacing the commercial manager,
Right.
as we didn't feel at that time that that was the right way to go, and we thought we'd give it a try with team leaders who were directly managing the day-to-day staff. When we then didn't renew the contract for the hospitality officer, the team leaders then carried on without
So we don't, so
the other
therefore
2.
We don't have to have him or have her or whoever it was again. So that will save us £6,700 next year.
Yeah, and the commercial manager will save you nearly £9,000. Yeah, 9,400, sorry.
So if you're looking at just that part of it, then we'd actually now be about sort of 4,000 in credit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we
which
would.
is about right, because we're not setting out to make huge profits.
No, that's not.
No.
Providing the service.
Well,
And the
that,
team leaders are just as good, obviously, because
Yes.
obviously otherwise we'd be sort of looking elsewhere. wouldn't
yeah, yeah, they certainly are keen, they're doing the job. They've had a lot of mentoring and help and guidance from various directions, and they're doing a good job,
we?
yeah.
Okay. And then the only other question I'd have, sort of
Yeah.
going down further now, if I may,
Yeah,
is...
you're jumping ahead of me now.
Yeah,
aren't you?
sorry.
That's all
My
right. No, yes,
apologies,
you carry on.
Yeah. I'm just looking
You
at
always
the-
does.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the bank charges, that's very excessive. I mean, I run a business where we use card machines, we use cash, we use cheques, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And my turnover is a lot more than this, and my bank charges are like £200 a year. So how are your bank charges £421? Or how are the bank charges £421?
Well, what this is if you look up above the card income of 18,981,
Yeah, I can see that.
every time somebody uses the card to buy a cup of coffee and a sandwich,
Yeah.
we've got a bank charge on it.
No, I understand
That's
that.
that's
I
the
understand
problem.
that, but my bank charges and my card costs,
Yeah,
and my turnover is, let's put it this way, at least 20 times this,
yeah,
and my bank charges are only half of that.
yeah.
Perhaps it
But I
costs more to
suspect
do lots
most of the
of
hub's
small...
income is cash, and the bank charges for handling cash. Most of the income for your business, I suspect, is not cash. So I may be
So
wrong,
they're
but I
actually
would
charging
guess...
us more for cash.
No, the bank charges to handle cash.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, they're charging us more to handle cash.
This is-
which
this is
isn't
to do
an
with
issue in
the-
your business, but
Yeah.
with the hub fee.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all I was asking, you know,
I'm
why
guessing
bank
that's
charges.
probably
Yeah.
why.
And we've got
I can-
lots and
I
lots
can
of
explain a
small
bit further.
purchases.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
you've
I
got a
understand
view?
that. It's
Yeah, I
just
can explain a bit
Number of
further.
transactions as well.
It
Yeah.
seems just
Lots
a
of
lot.
little
there's
transactions.
a lot of very tiny transactions. Now, if you've got, I can't remember which way around it is, Paul probably can tell me. One, it's either debit or credit card.
Yeah,
They charge you a per use charge.
yes they do.
The other one, and I can't remember again which way
It's the
around it
debit-
is,
it's the
they
debit
charge you a
card.
percentage.
Yeah, the debit card charge should be no more than 15p.
Yeah.
So if it's only a small amount, it should only be 10p per transaction. And the credit card should be less than 0.9
Of a percent.
of a percent.
Yeah, yeah,
But there's there's just all these little ones, they all just...
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to, you know.
but if you're getting
No.
lots of debit card use for a cup of coffee and
No, I understand where you're coming from now. It's just that
Yeah.
obviously, you know.
and you get out of 2 cups of coffee at £2.50 or whatever it would be, you know, you take transactions of a couple of pounds and you take 10-15p out of that, it's a bigger pro rata proportion than someone coming to you buying a carpet.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, I do understand what you're saying.
which is
I mean,
in three figures.
I mean, obviously, my business is slightly different to the
Yeah.
hub, obviously, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
You don't sell carpet tiles individually, do you?
Well, a little bit. But, I mean...
Buy one at a time, yeah, with a card.
I mean, we have a notice saying, anything less than £30, we won't put on a card or take a cheque.
Yeah,
You can put the price of coffee up.
No, what I'm saying
that's one way.
is
Yes.
surely we should have, I don't know, I mean, I'm not working in the hub, I'm not a tea man, I'm not a coffee man, I don't understand it, so I'm
Yeah.
only just, spouting off a little bit. But
I don't think many places do that now, do they?
Do they not?
Especially
They
with
don't.
contactless
You can't
and
do
that.
that in
No.
hospital.
Young
No, they
people
don't.
never have cash.
it's all right,
No.
I mean, I say I don't go to coffee
No.
shops, you see, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think you can do
Everybody
that.
these days goes into,
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, they even use their phones.
There's a notice
Yeah.
there, so
My girls never
if
carry
you-
any.
if you
No.
buy everything contactless,
It's going to
they'll
save
take
you a
that
lot
price
of
of
children.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
yeah.
We've got lots of children.
Yeah,
No,
so
that's
young
fine.
people just
As I
don't
say,
carry
I'm
cash.
just asking because as I say, looking at what I do, and it just seems a hell of a lot, £421 a year. But,
Yeah.
well, for 10 months.
Yeah.
So,
Looking at those costs, I mean, they take us even further into, these are direct overhead costs relating only to the hub.
yeah.
The newspapers are bought just for the hub. The EPOS is the point of sale till that we got in there,
Yeah.
which we rent, and that's £30 plus VAT per month.
Yeah.
Now, there is a query I've got there, Paul might know the answer, but again, I'm catching you cold because I didn't know you were going to be here tonight, so, it wasn't a question I was going to pose to you tonight, but part of the year, the account showed £30 a month plus VAT of £6 for the EPOS system. Then all of a sudden, I think in about August or September, it showed £360 plus VAT, which is obviously an annual
Yeah.
figure. Then last month, was it last month's figures I pointed out to council, full council, that we got the £36, including VAT, was on our payments, direct debits or whatever
Yeah, you
again.
did actually say that.
Yeah.
So I think we've paid a lot more than a year's worth.
When we initially got it, we didn't have an invoice for it. So when the invoices came through, it wouldn't reflect on the accounts until the money goes out to the account, but it's not on the invoice going against the nominal code.
Right.
So I was probably waiting for invoices, chasing them up, and when the invoices all come through, it all comes up like that.
So it wasn't an annual charge, it was just,
Well, they've just sent an annual invoice through for 360 quid.
yeah, including VAT, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were we still paying the £30 a month as well?
We're still paying, no, they send an invoice for 360
For the year.
quid, for which we pay £30,
So true for it.
£36
Yeah.
a month.
yeah,
So I claim the VAT back all in one go.
yeah.
Okay.
But we should have £360 there for the year, so we should have £300 for 10 months. We've got 510 down because of the way it's appearing in the books at the
I'll
moment.
check it.
If you could have a look at that, yeah. Consumables. We've got a high figure there for consumables. That's plastic cups. We have a lot of takeaway stuff in plastic cups and plastic cartons. A lot of ladies I see come in with children, and the children struggle to eat it all, and they say, can I have a carton or something, and treat it like a doggy bag, and they'll take it away and finish their crisps and their sandwich later. So we get through a lot of cartons and stuff like that. There's a lot of napkins and all sorts of things. So there again, there's 1174 on consumables. Rental contracts, that's mainly the coffee machine from Matthew Algie. The loyalty cards was a one-off payment that we made for, well, I say one-off, we might need some more at some stage. These are for these discount cards that we offer, where if you buy so many coffees you get one free or whatever. So that's the cost of having those printed. There is some hub cleaning materials which were bought just for the hub as cleaning materials, and we've got some kitchen equipment. I think there's some things gone in other places that need to be down as kitchen equipment, Paul. that I spotted in the accounts. There's not massive items. Well, a couple of them are massive items. We've got, I think, that ice cream fridge finished up in, instead of being in kitchen equipment, that finished up in one of the other codes. I don't know if that's gone down as wet or dry purchases or something. But the kettle did. The kettle ended up in dry purchases, I think. And there was something else we bought, finished up in there.
I'm wondering whether, a couple of months ago, we approved stainless steel worktop, and some other crockery and things, which would have put that up a fair amount of money. So yeah, they may be somewhere else. They're probably what was bought under Nisbets.
So I might put it down as just
So
repairs and
maybe
maintenance on
somewhere
the
else.
basis the others are broken.
Might put it down as well.
Repairs and maintenance on the basis that the other ones must have been broken, so it's just repairing.
Right, replacing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of other things that were actually bought new as well. There's been a trolley.
Yeah.
I'll go through them. I've got the list that Claire gave me, and we'll go through it and then we'll see if we can find them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But when you add those up, that then takes the loss. That's a further 4,675, and it takes the loss then to 10.5 grand. And then, of course, the hub has got to pay its share of Fletton House overheads for its pro rata area. And it's a big room. It's a big space. I'm only taking into consideration its sort of usable space. I'm not counting the area of kitchen, and you know, it's the bit front of counter, if you like, that we're looking at here, plus Bennyfield room, which is being used as storage for. It's got the freezers in it. It's got all the stock in it and stuff. But that's how their percentages work out. I've included 50% of the waste, which was agreed at Estates that we do that, and 50% of electric. That again comes to their share of the overheads, comes to another £11,237 for that 10 months, which takes us to £21,723 of loss. So that's about 2,200 a month is what we're losing. Which is, yes, Peter.
One thing I'd say, obviously I know we're losing this money, but if we didn't have that there, right, what would we do with that space anyway? We'd still have to sort of, get rental income for it, wouldn't we? So
Yeah.
overall, we'd probably still lose money, but we're offering a service there anyway.
Yes, that's a good point. We wouldn't be purchasing £18,000 worth of wet and dry purchases.
I appreciate that.
We wouldn't have that income either. 60,000 coming in.
That's right.
You wouldn't be
we wouldn't
paying
have
any-
the staff.
But you would then want to be paying any staff.
You wouldn't have any of those overhead costs, those £4,000 of hub-specific costs. You wouldn't be paying those staff.
But you'd probably still have those.
You'd have the £11,000 worth of overheads
Yeah.
still pro rata to that bit of the building.
Yeah, which is what you mean, isn't it?
That's
Yeah.
right. So we'd still lose money.
Yeah, so that bit would still be going out with nothing at all coming in.
Exactly.
And I was thinking, of that 21,000, you can take off sort of 9,000 that you've got for the hospitality officer. and
Those two, 9,400,
commercial.
yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's
Bit
come
down a
back,
bit.
isn't it?
Yeah.
We're only actually looking at
Yeah.
like 12,000, aren't we?
Yeah.
Or 13,000.
Now, the worrying thing is that this has happened fairly recently. We started off the year, last year, we know that, and it was their introductory year, it was the start of it, and they were learning and everything else, and we understand that, we appreciate that. But it was losing up to £1,000 a week all in, we know. We clawed that back to a point where, when I looked in September, Malcolm and I looked and we thought we were losing about 200 a week, and then with the increase in prices we said, right, looking at what we've got coming in and the immediate impact that had of increasing the prices, we are now break even if we keep on top of it. So we got to a point where in October we should have been break even from then on. So the bit of concern is that we've let it slip since then. And to look in detail, and I think we've got to look in detail at what's caused that.
So we don't know if it's lack of trade so much as
If anything, they're up on income, but the question is, are they spending more in purchases to achieve the extra income? And how can I put this? If you start off, if we were losing £1,000 a week, you've got to take another £4,000 and spend nothing more on purchases in order to break even, haven't you? So you've got to take a lot more in purchases, in sales rather, a huge amount more. And you know, we're celebrating the fact that they're up month by month. They're up on what they were the same month last year, and they're getting excited and saying they're £1,000 up or 1,400 up or whatever, and they're all excited. But that still doesn't offset the amount that we were down to start with that time last year, and it doesn't account for what they've then purchased. Now, I do know for a fact that they were quite excited about the fact that they told me this at the Christmas party. We've been having a good look through today. We've not, we've been more or less shut, apart from our party. We've had a good look through. We've gone through looking at everything that was past sell-by date. And we've had a good old time throwing lots of stuff out. If we've thrown lots of stuff out, that's stuff we've had no income from. Whereas you sell a tea cake or something and you might use 5 out of the packet of 6. But what you sell the 5 for more than covers that. You're selling it for 3 or 4 times what you paid for it. Time you've value added on it and sold it. But if they then look at a whole packet and throw the lot away for nothing, we've purchased and got nothing for it. So this is where we've got to look at stock taking, I think.
I think what you've got to do, to be honest, and by the sounds of it, you've got to put in place a far better system on the computer to only purchase when you're actually running out or we've got one left.
Well, that's what
all companies now do.
Yeah.
You don't carry, well, apart if you're an idiot like me, you don't carry stock. What you do is you order it when it's needed, and then that way that eliminates the throwaways, if you like.
Certainly perishables, you need to get them regular, which is why they want to go to Waitrose to go and get things like milk and cheese and stuff like that at regular intervals and small amounts.
But Waitrose are dearer than Tesco's. Why would they do that?
Well,
I'm not being funny, but you go 4 pints. I'm not. I go to Tesco's.
Tesco's was chosen because they can get a prepayment card. You can't get one. You can get that card that you can buy things on, whereas the other supermarkets wouldn't.
Majority of the stuff's coming from Brakes or Bookers, which is, and some from Sainsbury's. Although I think that's declining, isn't it? The amount we have from Sainsbury's.
Yeah, they were getting a lot more, I think, from Sainsbury's.
I think they do still do it
Still a
online.
few,
They're still doing a fair bit with Sainsbury's,
It's
aren't
just,
they?
as I say, going back to the milk situation, you buy 4 pints of milk from Waitrose, it's £1.50. You buy 4 pints of milk from Tesco, it's £1.
Yeah.
Well, they're pretty good about where they're buying.
I think they're being reasonably careful. They've also tried things like crumpets and things. I know this for a fact. Crumpets, tea cakes and things. And I'm dragging on with this, I know.
Sorry.
But it's got to be gone through at some stage, so we might as well do it here and now. I know that they've tried lots of different places, and people say, "Oh, I like those ones, but I don't like those ones." When they've served them, people are saying, "I like the ones we had last week better than the ones this week." So some of that is, well, we go back to Waitrose instead of Tesco's because they sell better. So there's an element of that about it. There is an element of that.
Lidl
But-
are far better than Waitrose, I'll tell you that now.
There isn't we nearly there, is there?
Yeah,
Spending more money on
I know, I'm
petrol,
only
ain't
joking.
Yeah.
I'm
But-
only joking.
but
No, I understand the situation,
Yeah.
right? I do understand the
yeah,
situation. It's just
and
that-
certain things that, you know, I've got a long date on them, a long sell-by date. I mean, they're buying in bigger bulk
Yeah.
and storing it in the Bennyfield room rather than running. I mean, at one stage, I went with one of the girls with Ada out of the hub one day because they'd run out of flour for the girls to make cakes. And we went down to Waitrose and we bought bags of flour. All the big kilo bags of flour had gone. We were buying the little tiny bags and we were filling a trolley with little bags of flour because they needed it there and then. They needed, I think, about 7 or 8 little bags for the amount of cakes they were going to bake that week. And, you know, it was absolutely crazy. That was extremely expensive way to buy it. But now they're buying bulk from Booker's or wherever. I took Tina and I think we got 5 kilos or something, which lasted them about a month, 6 weeks, something like that, and then they bought some more. But we have got to be on top of stock control. We have got to watch, we have got to make sure we're making our margins, that we're not, you know.
It's just that obviously if you're linked in with Booker's, then they have a computer system that can link you in with Booker's so that you then order from Booker's when you actually need the stuff.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
don't have to sort of go over there for special. They'll actually sort of,
They will deliver.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, because obviously if they're linked in, they know when you're short and they'll just deliver that to
I
you.
think that's how they're doing it. They're ordering it, aren't they? Rather than they're not going to Booker's and going round with a
Yeah, but
trolley
what I'm saying
getting
is we do that
tempted.
for everything, and therefore
Yeah.
you shouldn't get.
I
flow
know
away
these things, but
situation.
we haven't gone to the point where Booker's will just turn up with it saying you must now be short of this, therefore, because they haven't got the stock control information to know what's left on the shelf.
That's right, but we should have it here.
Yeah, yeah,
It should be controlled like that.
yeah. But we've got to get on top of all of that and get that happening. But it is a concern. We have got to look at, you know, where this.
Well, because I mean, I thought you were doing really, really well. I mean, you know, it's a bit of a shock to find that we're now losing money again.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
that much money anyway.
It's
It is.
huge disappointment. We've got to get that right before we start doing any corporate entertaining as part of this room hire. Otherwise, we're just going to exaggerate that loss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we've got to get that right and get it right fast before we go any further with room hire, with hospitality, because otherwise we're just going to make the problem considerably worse.
Okay.
Okay, any more on?
Sorry for taking so long.
No, I just think, as you say, Roy, you need to do some more delving into, some more analysis of the accounts before we start jumping to conclusions. I think,
Yeah,
so we know we're chasing the right things.
yeah.
Where have we got to now?
We're now up to 164802 to review the intermediate audit report and put together an action plan. I think that audit is not what we asked for, is, I think, the starting point.
We stated that before, haven't we?
Yeah.
This is not really any, almost no use to us.
Well, it's for the current year.
Yeah.
What was asked for was to go, for the auditor, John Marshall, who'd done the previous audits, to come back in because what was of concern was that procedures were in place, the correct procedures were in place during that time. That's what needed looking at. And he didn't do that. He came and he looked at the current year and looked at current procedures, which is fine as far as it's gone, but it wasn't what was requested. So I think that's my main point there.
And I suppose otherwise it would be, what, too expensive to go and ask someone to do a historical review?
John Marshall was saying, and it's coincidental, I went to a meeting in London on Monday, over the weekend and on Monday, for the Hairdressers Federation, because we had our auditors in for the annual accounts for the Federation. And at the end of it, the auditor went through all the statutory stuff of all the forms that were signed off regarding the audit. And I asked him the question. John Marshall had said we can't revisit audits we've signed off. So I asked this auditor from Grant Thornton's, one of the top auditors in the country, and he said, yes, you can. There's no problem. You can go back and revisit an audit. No audit is signed off and can't be revisited. And I asked him if there was a difference between internal and external audit, and he said, no, there is no difference. Any of the audits can be revisited. And I mean, he was worried to death that I'd found something in the Hairdressers Federation back audits that concerned him. He kept saying, is there anything specific? No, nothing to do with the Federation. Just a question from something that's cropped up in another life. And I frightened the life out of him, but yes, he confirmed that, you know, that there is no reason. So I do wonder whether we ought to consider having the auditors back in to look over the past and check those items again.
The scope of the audit they've done here, did we give them that scope in writing? And if
Yes.
we did, how clear is it about what we asked them to do versus what they actually did?
They had a
Is there a
written...
clear discrepancy there?
Yeah, there's a clear discrepancy. They had a written specification.
Okay.
There were some things they said were investigation as opposed to an audit report, and they said, you know, we needed to reframe it. I went through with Danny and reframed it, and it wasn't until John turned up here on the day he said, and there are still some items I can't do. Now that was not good. That was bad on their part, I think.
Yeah, it sounds to me as if we've got scope for going back and saying, number one, you didn't execute your audit according to our instructions, and number two, you led us to believe you couldn't revisit an earlier period,
Yeah,
which we understand to be incorrect.
yeah,
And I don't know what leverage we've got with going back and saying, we want you to redo the audit according to our instructions.
yeah.
And we've paid them.
Hmm?
And we've paid them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
paid for a service which isn't what we asked for.
Yeah,
Well, I don't think there's any problem doing that, John. I think that's how we should do it, isn't it? You know, I mean,
yeah,
and if he says, well, you can't go back and say that, all you have to do is point to BT.
yeah.
I mean, they've just been fined for not publishing their
Yeah,
accounts.
I've never heard of
Fines.
not being able to go back and, audit an audit, if you like, or re-audit a period.
Yeah.
That's to
I
me,
think- I
that's...
think we should do that.
So yeah, I don't know what the precedent is, but I think we should go back and say, yeah, you didn't do what we asked. It was fairly clear, and he has believed you couldn't audit the period we wanted auditing,
Yeah.
which appears to be incorrect. We paid you, so we'd like you to redo it.
Yeah. Either them or BDM, is it BDM, the
BDO.
Yeah,
BDO? Sorry, yeah.
We do have the original letter, don't we, that we sent them.
Yeah, got the
So we've
specification.
got the specification.
There's a
So
detailed
if it's all
specification
there,
in writing.
then we
Yeah.
haven't really got a leg to stand on, have
We took some months, didn't we,
Yes.
getting our specification right and agreed by all involved before it went off. It was all carefully checked. I mean, it's not that we necessarily think there's something wrong. What we need to be able to assure ourselves of is that, in particular, procedures were in place to make sure that things couldn't have
Well,
gone wrong.
prior to this, yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think...
It's not that we, you know, suspect there's anything wrong, but
when you
I think
say what procedures are you thinking of? Because I know that you haven't got procedures in place, which you should have had done.
Yeah.
Because that's why those next items.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because currently
Yeah.
we don't have the
Yeah.
procedures in place.
Yeah. And so
yeah,
that's quite easy to see
Yeah,
from that report.
that's what we wanted
and
for
from
that
what you've
2-year
got
period.
on your website.
Yeah, that's what we wanted for that 2-year period, was to say that, you know, either there were procedures or there weren't. That's what number one, what we were after.
And it was agreed that it would be for the previous years.
Yeah,
Until the day they arrived.
agreed
So
with
it
Danny
was,
Moody, it was all
yes,
agreed
it
with
was.
Danny, and that was it. He then wrote and said there's a couple of items here that we can't do because it's more investigation than an audit. We looked at those items, he went through them with me over the phone. He then said to me, before they come out, can you please again draft it without those items in, which I did. They had a detailed report again that took out the couple of investigative bits, and everything else was still there. And it was only when John Marshall turned up that he said, because we can't do most of this.
That was there, that's what he said.
I think we should obviously probably reject this report on the fact that it wasn't a report that we actually asked for. And go back to them and say, look, we want the report that we actually employed you to do.
When did this report come back?
That's what I'm just thinking, because we're now into March.
It came back, the audit was just before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
It
it's
was the Wednesday,
months.
it was the Wednesday before Christmas.
Yeah, the actual report didn't come in though, not until middle of January.
That's
Well,
right.
Not
Yeah.
middle, probably 10th or 11th of January, because I know I'd only been there a little while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there are two separate things, aren't there? One is we didn't get what we thought we paid for, and that needs issue. That needs addressing. But the other point I think that Emma was making is, however, the audit he did highlighted, confirmed that we're
There were
remiss
bits, yeah.
in certain in the way we run things, and we still need
Yes.
to address that.
Which I
Yeah.
think we should do before our next internal audit.
Yes,
So that,
yeah.
you know, we look
Yeah.
like we've actually
Take it on
put
board.
something, taken it
Yeah.
on board. But then obviously, if we're taking it on board what's been said in this report, are we still rejecting it?
Well,
It's a tricky one.
the issue was, I think, the period it covers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more
That's
so
the-
than,
that's the
more
main
so than
issue.
what they've
There's a
actually
period of
come
time
back.
where we were more
Yeah.
concerned about,
Yeah.
which is what we wanted
Yeah.
to focus on.
Yeah,
And presumably whatever procedures were lacking today were lacking back then.
Yeah,
So it helps us understand what we need to do going forward.
but there's also more than
Yeah.
we were expecting.
Yeah, if you commission something, you expect to get what you
I haven't seen what you sent, so I don't know what was asked for.
So is that what we're going to do?
I would like to see us get the auditors back in and look over that period,
In
yes.
that case, I think we've got to draft another letter stating what we said in the first letter and
Yeah.
saying why it wasn't carried out. And,
Yeah.
What
we don't understand that you can't go back historically.
Yeah,
is it
Especially-
exactly the previous year? So your year 15 to 16 you're looking at?
it's 2 years I want
years.
to look at, yeah. So it's
14 to 15,
it's
isn't it?
from April 2014 to March 2016 are the 2 years that specifically we wanted to look at.
To March 2016.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to let me have a copy of the original letter, then I can go back to them if you want.
Right, okay. I mean, especially in the light of what Bill Devitt from Grant Thornton told me yesterday, I mean, it's clear that audit can be revisited at any time.
Well, you know as well as I do that we have to keep our accounts for seven years
Yeah.
because the VAT and the Inland Revenue can come back and historically go through them. So if
And
they
same,
can do
same
it,
for us as
They can
well.
go back
Exactly.
further than that. I mean, you can reclaim back to 6 years, but they can go back if they want. They can go back right to, when you left school and first started in
Right.
business, I mean, if they want.
it's normally
But
a
it'd
7
be
year
pointless
period.
having rules about keeping them if you
can
can't
have-
revisit them.
Yeah, exactly, yeah,
Completely
Yeah.
pointless.
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think they're definitely.
Even I can see that.
yeah.
But we still need to address the recommendations of the audit you did, don't we? Because they're still valid.
Is that in this draft internal control policy?
Well, that's sort of part of it. I mean, basically, it's some of the things that he's picked up on. Some of it was not misunderstanding, but there'd been a difference between operations committee. It had now turned into this committee
Yeah,
and personnel,
yeah,
and that information wasn't available on the website.
yeah,
The terms of reference were out of date, because obviously the terms of reference were still showing as an operations committee on the website, but obviously that was no longer, and we've now got, so that sort of thing's all been updated.
it's tidying, yeah,
All the accounts being put on, haven't they, all of, annual returns, that sort of thing, all up to date now on the website. So
yeah,
we've done some of the things that he picked up on, but what I took from it were there were just the simple things like the internal controls, which we should have, which
Yeah.
is when you're signing, you're looking at approving your effectiveness.
yeah,
We haven't. Well, I couldn't find any document that covered it,
yeah.
and that's what I felt that we should have.
Okay.
Good stuff.
I think we've covered that one, haven't we?
Okay, yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure we have. We still haven't agreed who's going to take actions to address the recommendations of the audit. I think we talked around it, but I'm not sure we
Fully.
who's going to take that up and come up with proposed actions to address those to resolve those or to implement those recommendations.
Well, I think it'd probably be better if it comes from me. But
Yeah.
obviously, whatever if you can let me see the original letter that went there, so I know what you were originally asking for, then I can
Yeah.
pick out
Yeah,
what
sorry,
you
sorry,
did.
but
Right.
what forget that for the moment. What I'm concerned about right now is that the audit you did still highlighted some recommendations.
Oh yeah, but that's the next agenda
Okay, all
items
right.
that are coming
Fine,
out. Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's addressed in the next item. So we've
Okay.
reviewed the intermediate audit. The next one is to agree to review the council financial risk assessment and create an internal control procedure. 164803. Over to.
Well, you'll see that these are the documents that we had. There was a risk assessment and financial management that I found, but I think there were things in there that weren't included, like how we pay money into the bank and what steps we take
Yeah,
to sort of protect. Not there's a huge amount you can do, so that has been included. But then also the first document, I don't know if you've all had a chance to read it. It's just how we deal with these sorts of things internally. So things like signing cheques, just going through, preparing schedules of payments for you to authorise. We don't hold petty cash. Also, what I think is important is that we set up where a councillor, at the moment I think it's down that it can either be the chairman or deputy of the Finance and General Purpose Committee, which is the chair, well, the mayor or deputy mayor, that at least every quarter they come in, look at previous 3 bank statements, have the then we can sit with the list of invoices, then you can literally say, or check number whatever, can I see the invoice for that? And then we show it, and then you also see that was in the minutes, and that's quite an important part.
yes,
And that is one of your statements that you tick on your annual return to
Yes.
say you're doing.
yes, yeah,
Yes, that's another important
it
thing.
is, yeah, it
To
is,
check that
yeah.
all our
So it's things like
controls
that. but
match
that's-
up the boxes on the
because obviously
Yeah.
it's important that what we're ticking is yes. Because
Yes.
they don't really want you to tick no,
Mm.
but you've also got to, as you are ticking yes, be sort of showing that you are actually doing what it's saying there.
Yeah, yeah,
And so this, I mean, this is just something that I've sort of put together with a mixture of ones that I've done before, plus other information we'd already got. So,
Yeah.
And if we update that internal control policy you just suggested, does it address all the recommendations from the audit?
well, it's, yes, to me, it's you know, I cross-references with the things that he picked up here. And also knowing from what I've done and what we do in previous councils, basically that's what I've sort of used.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
I'm
we're
not
not
saying
going to
sort of
reinvent the wheel.
perfect. Yeah,
It's,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the structure's there somewhere. We should just follow it.
And I mean, even if it is just a starting point, and we just get used to reviewing it on an annual basis, so that if anything does change during that year, we can say, well, actually, we're doing that slightly differently now. Which are some of the things that you've got in this risk assessment that
So how and when will we go about implementing that?
well, basically what you normally do is you obviously you're here looking at it in a bit more detail, but then it would be the full council that would then approve.
Okay.
Yeah, we would then have to recommend to full council
Yeah.
that we've approved it. We've proposed that it's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we've looked at it and it's okay for them to
Yeah.
consider it, and then if they're happy with it, they approve it as a full council.
I mean, one of the things that he picked upon, you know, that he sort of made a point of saying about was the hub till going in the oven at night.
Yeah.
You know, which,
Yeah.
in fact, none of us upstairs knew that was happening. We all thought the money was going safe, but that's all now been sorted out,
Yeah.
and we've got a nice, you know, proper
Using the
procedure.
microwave now.
Yeah, proper procedure now
Yeah.
with that, so there isn't any money going into the oven anymore.
Good. Yeah.
I must admit, I thought that obviously just I've read the internal control policy. I actually thought we were doing that anyway. I didn't realise we weren't.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but it may have been done. I don't know. Has it been done in the past? If you,
Which bit was that?
well, you know, when internal control, when you've got people, when you have councillors or whatever looking at accounts,
Yeah.
did you ever have that?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe last year was a very different year, wasn't it? A sort of difficult year, maybe.
Councillor Stagg would always come in and check through all of the payments, refer to all of the checks, make sure the invoices were behind. And if he was happy with those, then Paul King would just say, as long as you're happy with it, I'm happy
Yeah.
with it.
It's probably because it just wasn't documented anywhere, maybe as well. You know, sometimes you just have to have for like the likes of auditors.
You have to have it in black and white.
Yeah. You know, you can't say, well, we are doing that, because unless they can see evidence.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's important. Obviously, we've got to have. I know the old-fashioned word is a paper trail.
Yes.
It's now on the computer, but I think we've got to have
But
that.
you definitely have to have it.
Yeah.
And that, you know, generally means that if they look back at any sort of bank statements and invoices, they can see where it's been initialled
Yeah.
throughout the year when
Yeah.
it's been checked.
Yeah. That's all standard stuff.
Every payment that was made, there's always the payment sheet at the front and all the invoices related to it behind,
Yeah.
all signed off.
Yeah.
So the draft we've got here, are we comfortable proposing that at the next full council meeting? Or do we need to review it? And how long is it going to take us to do that?
I mean,
I don't necessarily need to know.
I know, that's what I'm thinking, but I mean, at some point it needs to either be, you know, looked at with a small group of people to then move it forward, or you
Well, I think we should move this forward.
put it forward to the council and see what their opinions are.
Yeah.
Or we, you know, you get into the best shape your thing, it can be in according to your experience. We agree to implement it, but with regular review in the first year.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
so,
an
so
idea,
if there's
so
anything crops up, we realise we do
yeah.
this differently.
we haven't written down.
Then at the next meeting, it's like, okay, let's have
Yeah.
let's propose a review, change it, yeah.
Yeah,
Because what I wouldn't want to do is delay implementing it because we're trying to get it perfect.
Yeah, the first time,
Sooner
yeah. that's-
implement it at 90% right, and accept we're going to review it,
Yeah.
you know, every council meeting or like every full council meeting or every finance meeting.
Mhm.
yeah.
So at the end of the year, yeah, we've got it the way we
Yeah.
want it. Well, it needs to be reviewed. on a
One I
regular basis.
couldn't find in here is it's the one thing that we had yesterday on that audit report. It's the one thing at Hairdressers Federation where the auditors said we were not 100% compliant in their eyes, was the fact, and we're the same. I mean, the Hairdressers Federation has got one part-time person who does all the accounts for us. There's a director of finance who's involved in a whole load of other things, but there's one lady, Karen, who does all our books part-time, and they raised the query that what there should be to comply with audit is that one person does the journals and the other one does the other books, is what they were saying.
What do you mean by the reports?
Well,
Well, the ones you show the tax one.
all the other forms of account, all the other forms, they should be handled by two different people, and it was just pointed out that, you know, we're not going to employ another person to do that. There's only X number of hours of bookkeeping work a week, and we've got the number of people for that. We've got the right number of people, got the right person who is extremely competent. The books were absolutely perfect. There was nothing wrong anywhere in any of the books. So the auditor had to concede yes, and he says 90% of the people we go to are small businesses where they
Yeah.
have one person doing the books, and you can't have two people
No, when you
checking
look
it.
at parish councils, most
Exactly.
of them only have
Yes,
one
you can't.
employee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I mean, he said it's the one area where we've got to put you down for a red star instead of a green star, but it's got to go down there. We have to come to your AGM and tell your members that you didn't have a different person journalising from the other entries.
We effectively have all that by someone doing all the books, but I can't sign a cheque. I can't
Yeah.
decide who, that's down to you.
So,
I
yeah.
can put things through saying,
You've got
please
controls
pay
in place to
Yes.
£2,000.
Yeah.
cover
Yeah.
anything that might arise.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
have one person that just does everything.
no.
Yeah.
You know, that's split, and then obviously ultimately you have the
Segregation
final,
of duties, yeah.
Yeah.
you have the final approval and you put the final
Yeah.
signatures on it.
So I don't know how you'd write that into here as a sort of an overall.
Well, ultimately, you decide whether it's going to get paid or whether it isn't
Yeah.
going to get paid.
Yeah, we do.
That,
Yeah.
that should come out of your risk
That's in,
assessment
and that's in
your-
your financial regulations.
Yes.
and your
Yeah.
control plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's also in that internal control, because at the beginning it says councillors never sign blank cheques
Yeah.
and authorised signatures, of which you need 3. And then obviously as you sort of come down further, it says the finance officer prepares the schedule, but obviously it's then agreed and signed at the council meeting.
Yeah.
So you're not signing it off.
I
No.
can sign
I mean, it comes to me, I check it again, but I
Yeah.
don't sign it off.
No.
It comes to you.
Mm.
And you
Val does.
that. So, you know, it's not all down to one person.
But you didn't write it in
But
the books in the first place, so we're all right. We're covered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this seems fine to me. If everybody else is happy with it, I'm happy to propose that we put this to full council.
I think so, and you know, we accept
Yeah.
we might have to review it, well, we should review it regularly
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, it should be reviewed
But
annually.
initially,
Yes.
it's probably going to require more reviews as we just massage
Yeah.
and refine.
We're all in
Yeah.
agreement, we don't need to have a proposition, I think, do we?
Well, no, if you just say it was agreed. that,
Yeah, that's
you know,
fine.
To put
Put
it
it
to,
in place.
because it'll be approved at full
Yeah,
council,
yeah,
won't it?
okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Move on.
I find page 1 again. To review the council's effectiveness of the internal audit policy and to confirm our ongoing provider as auditor.
this is what we had on the full council.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we moved it
So we
off
moved
to,
it because we hadn't really gone through this process
yeah,
before we went into that. So it looks like I haven't bought a copy of it.
I haven't got a copy of it either.
Let me,
I don't think it was on the correspondence here, because I printed everything out.
I'm just thinking because it was the way it came out the week. Well, we had it with the full council stuff. It was in that pack.
Ah.
I thought I'd put it in this pack as well, but obviously I didn't.
No,
Let me have a look.
Haven't brought my previous.
no, I took it out tonight before I came.
Yeah, mine's on my kitchen table, so.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know, this is internal audit, so this is the NCALC
Yeah.
audit.
Yeah.
I mean, there has been, by a number of councillors, I don't know if it's a majority, and it would have to be discussed at full council, but I know a number of councillors have said that they're not happy with NCALC on a number of issues, and if we're not happy with NCALC and we withdraw from NCALC, we might not then use their auditor. And that has been discussed.
Is it the same people that did the audit report for us?
Yeah,
Well, we're not happy with them, are we?
exactly.
That's obvious.
We're not happy with that audit.
No,
I
no.
mean, well, it's largely correct as far as it went, but it wasn't what we asked for.
No, exactly.
We've not been happy with the service as a package, as a whole, we've had from NCALC. As a package as a whole,
No.
we're very unhappy. So,
What with their training courses and things like that?
well, the training courses have been okay, but we've not been happy
Because that's
with.
part of what you pay for,
Yeah,
and obviously,
yeah. And I've got to talk to you. Danny's come back to me finally on. You were asking the question about media training a while back, and I said I'd talked to Danny Moody and I'd talked to Sian because I know that both of them have had people who are media specific to public service. Because the media training for private sector is very, very different.
Of course.
So I went to Danny and to Sian. Sian told me who they use, and I didn't think that was very helpful. What she came back with, it wasn't really what we were looking for, I don't think. But Danny has come back to me, and I need to pass the information to Emma. First of all, he came back and said, we haven't got anybody at the moment.
you've already passed it to me.
Have I?
And I think I've already forwarded it to you, Peter, when you asked me about a person that they're looking.
Ah, yes, yeah, that
Person
was.
that he'd been speaking to, and she's going to be putting an article in the next NALC update.
Right,
Is
that's the
is
one.
that the lady? Yeah.
that's the one, yes.
So,
Yeah.
and I think, did we say we were going to wait and see what went in the
Yeah,
NALC update, what she wrote about?
yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember it now. I can't remember it at all. But you did say, yeah.
We'd forwarded on to Stephen as well, didn't we?
Yeah, well, it was before, it was part of the communications.
Yeah, okay. I've got it somewhere on
Mhm.
my computer. So are we saying then we don't want to review the internal audit at the moment because we want to have more discussion about them?
I think we need to, don't we?
Okay.
I
Before we
think
just-
you will need, I think it is advised that you have an internal audit of sorts
Oh, yeah,
before you go to the BDO with your external audit.
yes,
Yeah.
oh, yes, it would,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
So are they talking there about the NCALC auditor coming in, or internal audit, as in we audit
No,
ourselves?
the NCALC.
Okay.
I mean, I've only ever worked under, you have the Northants Calc internal
Yeah, yeah,
audit
yeah.
that checks everything, signs your your annual return,
Yeah.
and then you complete it and send it off. I've never done it with anybody else that's not part of sort of local council and administration. So I wouldn't know where to start with who you'd up to, but that's it's your choice.
Yeah, I think it's something we've perhaps got to discuss.
I think you're covered for this year anyway, you've paid for it already, so,
Why were you unhappy with them, Roy?
Well, a whole range of things we're not happy with NCALC with, well, we're not happy with that intermediate internal audit report in what they carried out, basically.
It's not what we asked for.
No, it's not what we asked for. It's totally unacceptable.
Maybe we
really.
should resolve that first then.
Yeah.
I think we should actually get that sorted out before we sort of say we're happy
Be a
with
bit
them.
Yeah.
first to
we
be re-engaging them at the same time as
we need to
actually-
be careful because as of next week, we are at the end of this
Yeah.
financial year, and now
Yeah.
you're in that, we've only got until 3rd of July.
We're at the
when
end of the
that-
financial
when
year on
that
Friday this
annual,
week.
Annual return must be handed in by.
Yeah.
And obviously we've only got so many meetings between then and now to go
Yeah.
through the process, what we need to go through. So, I mean, my advice would be that you have, well, as you paid for it, you have Northants do this internal audit.
Well, they've got to, haven't they?
So you think, and then think long term after that, because
But
it's
we can
quite
also
short.
write to them
Yeah.
at the same time and say I'm
Oh, yeah.
satisfied with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, that's,
I don't see there's a
yeah.
point
Because
in
this
doing both.
audit is almost a sort of separate from their sort of schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms, this is, a separate one, so you can still deal with that.
And as we pay
and-
for both, we
and
should
get-
get
yeah.
value for money.
If we've already paid for it, but I don't think we've paid for the audit, have we?
Yeah, you should pay for that the minute that you renew your Northants Calc subscription, which I'm assuming that you have done. You've paid for it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we certainly want to go to the NCALC AGM because we've certainly got some things to say at the NCALC AGM. So we
That's
certainly
in
want to.
October.
We certainly still want to be members when we go to that.
Well, yeah, so well, you will have to renew your membership then.
Yeah.
Okay. We must, well, we have to do it then, don't we?
Yeah. But we might well. We need to review this thing first and.
Yeah, I
get
mean,
this
it's normally
rescheduled.
reviewed, it is normally reviewed at this time of year. I mean, you can obviously choose to not do it and minute that you're not doing it for because you're looking into it, but normally
Yeah.
you
I'm
would.
not sure what we've decided now.
Well, I don't at the moment. I think it looks like
Does
you.
anybody know what?
I don't know. I think it looks like you don't want to review the effectiveness of the internal audit policy.
Well, what we've seen so far is totally ineffective.
I think we're saying one thing and you're saying something else, I think. Because it's a matter of time. And you're saying we ought to do it because we've paid for it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we're going to go
So
through the
not review-
process.
Not review it, but just
And
go
obviously,
and
if
get
you want
it
to go
done.
to the AGM, you're obviously still going to have to join, so you can get invited.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with that, but there may well be some other things coming along
Yeah.
long before then. But
But what you're saying basically this year we're stuck with them anyway.
Well, you paid for it. I mean, and I just don't know
Yeah.
where you would go. I don't know.
there's places we can go. There's other
but
places available.
if we've already paid for it, for it,
Oh yes,
Yeah.
no,
we're
I'm
not going
not.
to get the money back.
I'm not arguing about that.
Oh.
But that's not what I'm saying. But I think at some stage we've got to. You can't just go on saying, "Oh well, we'll have them back. We'll have them back. We don't like them, but we'll have them back." We've got to actually do something about it.
Then we're looking at the timing, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're saying
yeah.
we'll get this one done because
Yeah.
we paid for
Because I
it.
don't
Yeah.
think
But
there's
we are
enough
going to
time
review it
Yeah.
before,
Well,
later.
In the early
Yeah.
part of this year,
Yeah.
well, in the middle of
it
this year.
looks like they will be coming in to do it. But there's going to have to be some words before they come in and do it. I think
Well,
there's
we're
going
going
to
to
have
send
to
that
be
letter back to them about
there's going to have to be something happen before
Yeah,
they
yeah,
come in and
yeah.
do it. I think something.
So we
serious.
are still going to write the
Yeah,
letter saying
that's
that we're
what's
not
still
happy.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look, just in my
Okay.
mind I'm trying
Yeah.
to get sorted out what we're actually going to do.
Yeah.
Well, and what we weren't happy with was an additional audit we'd requested, not a routine.
Yeah,
internal
it was,
audit.
it's the actual
It's not-
intermediate
It's not
one.
muddled it up, but you're right, it's still a additional confirmation that we don't like what they've done for us.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily the mandatory internal audit that we're not,
No,
although we may not be happy with that as well.
Yeah,
I don't know, I've not been here. I mean,
yeah.
I've never had a bad one, but I've been at other councils and I've had different auditors, so
Mm.
I don't,
Well, all I can say is, I don't know why weren't you here? It's not our fault.
Right, let's move. Next one.
so we're deferring that one for now. I
Yes,
think,
yeah, I think
because,
we'll have to, yeah.
further information.
Yeah, to carry out an analysis of the financial transactions. I mean, I've covered quite a few bits of that in going through those other accounts that I think we need to be looking at, and that's again the way the income and expenditure are handled. A lot of going through that. I don't think again we can go through that in detail tonight because we've not got time enough to go through in detail looking at all the
Can't we put this on for the first topic next time?
I think we'll have to, yeah. It's linked with the last item, which is really about the way that the income and expenditure are handled. I mean, we need to be looking at Fletton House, for example, has got to be broken down over a lot more codes in our management accounts. That one big figure on Fletton House, we need to know how much of that is attributable to Hub for a start, how much is attributable to room hire and other things, and how much is really down to... When it was Courthouse, all it was an office and a few rooms we let, but it was predominantly our office, wasn't it? And the expenses for Courthouse was predominantly our costs. It looks like we are extremely expensive at Fletton, and I don't think we are. I think when you take our costs for running the council, we're reflected very badly in the management accounts through nobody's fault. It's just the fact it's all in one figure.
If you say what you need, then it can be done.
Yeah,
Could be you know how you've broken it down here?
yeah.
Can we not?
Well, the one in between those two that I've just talked about, 164807, is to consider what additional management accounts should be presented to the full council. And I think those three reports I gave you earlier, we need those forming into a management account form that we get each month. So that each month we will get that Hub trading account.
Yeah.
There's a bit of work to set it up once, but once it's set up,
Yeah.
it's press a button and it'll come out for whatever.
It's always been the same, right? Someone asks me what they want,
Yeah.
and they get it.
Oh yeah, but I think to some extent we haven't known what we wanted.
No.
And I mean, it's only after I've done this I've realised the on costs on the staffing are not in this, which should be there. So we're still learning. We're still...
It's been going backwards and forwards for years, whether you want to break it down to all
Yeah.
of the staff, breaking down to individual areas,
Yeah.
and it goes back to all the staff,
Yeah.
to individual areas.
Yeah,
It's a constant changing of...
I can
What we
imagine.
could do is,
Yeah,
I mean, we're aware that
Yeah.
we've got to sort some of these codes out, and that's what we're looking at the
We are
moment.
getting a new, we've got a new sage, it just
Yeah.
hasn't been implemented.
So we can look at ways of separating the hub out. I mean,
yeah,
the one thing I'm not sure about is, like how we've got the percentages for the overheads. I don't know, do you want us to split those out at those percentages? Are we happy that they are?
that's what we agreed at Estates, but I mean, it might be in the light of experience, those are wrong. I mean, it might be that 90% of the waste for the building is Hub waste.
It would obviously make it more time-consuming, keying everything in. If you say you get an electricity bill for £1,000,
So you're going to be
which
splitting
certain
it.
percentages across And it's not just Fletton House, it's going to be obviously the courthouse, Queen Victoria Hall and everything else. It'll take a lot longer to do that. But if that's what you want, that's what you get.
Well, once percentages are put in for those particular areas, once you put in, say, £10,000, it'll actually dilute it into the percentages anyway, won't it?
Well,
It's
I'd
only
say,
one, yeah, it's only one go.
Once it's
No, we
done,
can have a look on the, if we can set something up on the report.
Once
If
it's-
you have a code for utilities that you were split in by floor area, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you input a bill, and that should then be split out into
Yeah.
all the different.
yeah. Well, as the caretaker
different
wages,
cost centres. And you'll have utilities that, for example, you might want to split up by, I know, percent use as opposed to floor area.
Yeah.
So, and so you might have two different codes for utilities.
Mm.
Electricity goes in one, gas goes in another, for example.
yeah.
And the way that's
Yeah.
handled in each then, or the way it's apportioned in each, should be fairly automatic.
when you can do that, then what you need to think about then is if you break it down 10% across the board to each room, and then after 6 months decide those
What you
figures are
can't do is
incorrect, then you
Keep
move
chopping
them
and
around.
changing if you're going to do that, you're
And
right.
then you'll find you're going to try and compare this year to the previous year.
Yeah.
We're going to be using 15% against
Yeah.
10%.
Yeah, we've got, that's what I mean, we've got to be,
No,
we've got to be
exactly.
sure that.
Those percentages need to be right to start
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
You've got a
Um,
structure you're pretty happy with and stick with
Yeah.
it, otherwise you're
Yes.
right for period over
Yeah, I mean,
period.
that's what you were
It
saying,
means-
Yeah.
you might find that the percentage of waste is different.
Well, we agreed those figures, but it might be that in the light of experience, we think we ought to put more
I
percentage
mean,
to one rather than
well,
another. But once you've got, like we've got 17.73% of caretaker cost, contract caretaker, goes down as overheads to the hub. So whatever, every time you enter the next
yeah,
wage for the bill for Clean for Shore for the caretaker here, 17.73% of that will appear in the hub account,
yeah,
hub trading account. So, I mean, it'll be one time to set it up. If we ever change our minds, it's only changing that percentage again once, isn't it? To change it.
but then it would
But
always.
Every month it would take 17.73% of whatever the caretaker total was to date and
Oh,
tell us
yeah,
what the,
yeah.
you know.
But it won't automatically take that. That'll have to be implemented on that input. So if you've got £1,000 for the caretaker, 17.73%, you've got to calculate that from the invoice which comes from Clean for Shore.
Yeah, but Sage does that automatically, doesn't
Can't
it?
you apportion
Yeah.
invoices across cost centres in a predetermined way?
We haven't used cost centres before here.
Okay.
It does break it down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we can, yeah, I mean, if we can, I mean, like you say, it's probably might take a little bit of setting it up,
Yeah.
but it might be easier then in the long run to get these.
I mean,
You'll
in the
get a
short term,
very
we can
much
work
more
out tomorrow
detailed
what's
spreadsheet.
required. Because
Yeah.
we're going to have a new Sage system, hopefully by, well, soon anyway.
Yeah, but then, yeah, we
Yeah.
can sit down and go through and, you know, looking at
We-
what Roy has done with these, with splitting out the costs to see what we can do.
The leverage, you're always going to want some fairly high level accounts that show totals, and then for
Yeah.
management accounting, you're going to want to slice and dice it a lot of different ways. And it's understanding up front how you want to slice and dice, so you can set it up and not be having to change again in 6 months.
Yeah,
6
that's
months,
right,
6
yeah.
months,
You can set up chart of accounts for all detail, high level detail, completely broken down, and once it's all set up, press the button, you get your reports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So particularly if you've got an upgraded Sage, then now's the
Now's the
time to
time.
do
That's,
it.
that's, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
what our
decide
intention was.
what levels of detail and what slices you want to take of that data to give you a management report.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I must admit, you might, and I'm not being horrible when I say this, you might need somebody to come in just to go through it with you to sort of show you how to do it. But once you've done it, it's fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not easy. You know, it sounds easy, but you do need somebody in there
Yeah.
that's got it. You know, and,
do we pay, do we
professional.
have Sage support?
We do, yeah.
So they should be able to sort
So
of tell
they
you.
could talk us through that.
Yeah, they will.
If we tell them what we want, what we're
We tend
looking
phone
to
them once
do,
every 2
they'll-
years or so.
I mean, I've used them a lot, they're really good, their support systems.
But after that, it's sort of fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
Mm.
Also Blue Moon are Sage main dealers, and they've got Sage support as well.
Mm.
They also do it.
they're more expensive.
Yeah, we'd have
Yeah,
to pay,
well, it would
because I
be,
think we
yeah.
already paid for it, don't we, the Save
Yeah.
Store?
Well, we haven't got
It's
a,
in the package, isn't it?
Yeah,
we haven't got a sort of a package price with Blue Moon. We're paying for what we use as we use it. So we would have to pay
Yeah.
if we went to Blue Moon
but I think
for
because
it.
we've already got it set up with Sage and we paid for it, we may as well
Yeah.
go to
Oh
that.
yeah, if you got it with
Yeah.
Sage, and yeah, yeah. So if it's there as part of the support.
Sorry, every time I hear the word, the name Blue Moon is that, I want to start.
Yeah.
You want to start singing?
Yeah.
Hello?
You're not a city fan, are you?
Well, Leicester. Of course.
No, Blue Moon with, it's the...
So we've only
That
got
Oh, no,
five
no, no, no,
sections
it's just the
to
song.
do, haven't we,
Yeah,
now?
Just this song.
1648.6? Or have you included that as these two bits?
I've lost track now.
I think that's what you said, that you'd like to see on a monthly basis, the
Well, that's
breakdown
the
of,
more clarity thing on the
yeah,
stage,
the
isn't it?
breakdown of the costs across Fletton
Yes.
Courthouse and,
Yes.
where's the other place?
Well,
The hub.
Victoria.
Yeah,
in
all
the
Yeah, we haven't got the Victoria Hall on here.
Well, that's because it's a
Victoria Hall.
trustee thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You do that separately.
courthouse, you'd show a separate courthouse account, room leasing account,
Yeah,
with those figures on, the way I've shown there. And they do the same for Fletton. But in the management account, in the profit and loss account, there'd still be just the one figure for courthouse. You wouldn't want to break that down into lots of figures in the management accounts for
Right,
profit
okay.
and loss accounts. Otherwise, they'd be pages long.
You'd want both. You want an overview to say courthouse income, courthouse expenditure, and then another chart of accounts to say broken down by. So that touch of a button, you can get the information you need.
Yeah, both ways, yeah.
Save you a bit of paper.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's only a case of the courthouse figures
Yeah,
for that report
yeah.
will be broken into that report, which we'll get as a separate report, in the same way as we get a balance sheet, a profit and loss account, and we now get a bank statement. We'll get a bank reconciliation. We'll now get a hub trading account. But Fletton House, instead of one big number that says Fletton House and it's massive, we'll get Fletton will
in more
be
detail.
half a dozen figures,
Yeah,
because otherwise we need to know how much of that Fletton House figure is down to us as a council and how much of it is down to the fact that we're renting rooms out, how much of it is down to, but not room by room. I mean, there'll be a room account, room trading account, as it were, as a separate account, but then in the profit and loss account there'll be just a few figures for Fletton rather than one.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yep, even I can understand that.
Right. I mean, there's some things, again, in amongst these, we need to sort of tidy up, because there's things ending up down to the hub, like the cost of sort of consumables, milk and sugar and coffee and stuff that was used by the office up here. Some of that's ended up in the hub, I see. Costed to the hub.
And it's supposed to be not directed to the hub.
Yeah,
But
Should
I've even gone and had to purchase it when it's been
Yeah.
put down to the hub
yeah.
for up here.
Um,
So all things have been bought and you've bought for here. You bought things
Yeah,
for
because
up here.
but it was
Yeah.
put down to the hub, because that's
Yeah.
what I was told, that's what it was put down to. So there's a bit of grey
So-
area.
so
around
What,
it.
for like the milk that we have up
Yes,
here?
yeah.
yeah.
Because I thought people do that on their expenses.
Yeah, who told you that to go to the hub? Well,
I can't remember which one, it was probably Joanna, but I can't definitely say it was.
Well, at one
But
stage
it was,
they
and
were
I think
buying.
was
it-
a bit of grey area.
Was it-
generally, any milk, anything that we use up here goes against the same thing for our meeting expenses. Because
Right.
generally it was always used for things like tea and coffee for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Putting that to meeting expenses only happened for a few months in the year. It didn't happen every month like that. There was, I don't know if it was Tina told me or whether it was Simon when he was here, said when he got milk, he got so many pints of, or the cans of 4 litres or whatever, 2 litres. He got so many of those with the green cap, and I think they were for the hub, and then one with a red cap, which is the semi-skimmed or
Skimmed is
Skimmed.
red top.
skimmed as the red one, was used up here,
That doesn't
but
happen
not in the
now.
hub.
We
Yeah,
purchase our own.
It was
set-
something
yeah.
like that when I
That
did
was
it.
that was going on at one stage.
Yes, it was, definitely.
Because they sent me to get some for them, and when I brought it in, they said that goes upstairs. And the same would happen with dishwasher tablets and things as well for upstairs. So we need to just make sure that
Yeah.
those things don't get charged. It's just a tidying up job, I think, really, as to where things are going. But I
Not
think
many people use milk up here now, do they?
No,
You don't,
But-
Hanukkah doesn't,
no.
Karen uses a teaspoon.
But yeah, I just assumed that, because I've bought coffee for up here. But I didn't know that things were bought downstairs and brought up here.
I didn't.
I'll check that.
I think that really covers all of those items now. So we now come to the bit, if I hand back to you, Val, where we're now in
Yes,
closed session.
please note that in view of the special and/or confidential nature of the business about to be transacted, it is advisable in the public interest that the public be temporarily excluded, and they are instructed to withdraw Standing Order 3C.
We have to close the door.
So that's a gavel. That's a gavel.
Let everybody back in.
meeting. Can I just check that there are no items of correspondence?
I haven't got any.
Has anybody else got
I
any
haven't
items
got
of
any, no.
correspondence? Okay, thank you very much.
We're ending the meeting, are we, Madam Chairman?
Yes, yes, you can go home.
I can go home. Take a deep breath, Rory.
You're giving me a lift.
Yes.
Oh, are you standing up okay now? Are you okay?
Yes,
Oh, good.